couldn't hear the music.
Why?
Well, because some reason on that title screen, you know,
Uh-huh.
when I switch to the other scene,
Right.
it actually doesn't have sound on that scene for some reason. I'm not sure
Elizabeth, I thought Elizabeth said she could hear it.
why. Right, but I think there was, moments apart between that because I
Mhm.
did switch to the live scene, and then they could hear. So the learning curve continues, definitely here on the portal. Let me turn this up a little bit. Usually I get some kind of feedback on this line when it's getting input, but it's not doing much. I'm jacking it way up. I don't know. But are we live on a new stream now?
I am not seeing us yet.
Let me see if I'm seeing us. Close all tabs and start fresh. No, I don't want to do that. I just want to go to this. And that one was an hour and 18 minutes.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. So let me look here. All right. So we are just still learning. I'm not sure if anybody's in here or not. I'm trying to get YouTube to come up currently. And let's see what's going on here.
It says live stream is offline again.
Yeah, it always does that. I don't know why. When I pull up this page, this is not really what I'm looking for. Video manager. Let me pull up that. Get this all sorted. The sordid details of my life.
The sorted.
Sorted. Aye. That was really, it was a good stream, too. It was going well, I thought.
It was.
I was really feeling good about this one, Don.
Well, you know.
This is the portal. I tell you. What can you do? Okay, here we go. It's live now. There we are. I am pulling it up. There it comes. All right, so we'll see if anybody's in there. Stacy's here. Woo!
Woo!
Thank you, girl.
So nice to see you tonight, by the way. A little earlier for you today, too, huh?
The party can start again, yeah.
Well, Stacy's here. Da, 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 da.
That's one good element.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
Well, now let's see if anybody else catches up with us.
Yay.
Let's see if I can get over to that new stream now.
Yeah, let's see how that works, Don.
Yeah.
So I think I think playing the Spotify and the back end there wasn't working. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Oh, great. Now my other battery's going dead.
Oh, what's the other battery?
My phone.
Oh, man, you and your batteries.
I know, huh? I don't know what happened today. I had such a busy day.
Plug something in when you get home, will you? Just get it plugged in. I don't know, Stacy. I think it's just you and us. This is the VIP show for you.
There you go.
Welcome. Oh, that does help. I wish more people had it on their favorites too. Well, I'm glad you found us, and I will read more stories here eventually. But I thought we'd wait a second. I don't know. We might have lost everybody.
There we go.
Yay!
Streaming live now.
Yay!
Hey!
I don't have a count. Usually it shows me a number here of how many people are listening.
I need more than a portable charger. I need to pay attention to the stupid things.
Yeah, you actually have to watch the battery meter once in a while.
Oh, is that what that thing is? It goes
Yeah.
up and down with the bars in it? And
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Like when I plug in my computer, there's a little thing right there, a little battery with a plug next to it.
That's the thing.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let's get to the Paranormal Portal Facebook page.
Okay.
And post the new stream.
Don's on it. Hopefully we'll go about another hour. I don't know. Maybe another.
That's fine with me.
Maybe another half hour. Well, we could just do this all night. We can do a Paranormal Portal marathon up in here. Know what I'm saying?
Somebody said, I think it was Drone. It may have been somebody else, but said we should do a 24-hour Paranormal Portal-a-thon. Like, oh God, no.
Maybe we will in November. You want to do that, Don?
No.
24-hour portal. Come on.
No.
Come on, dude.
I
that would
barely
be huge.
barely look at myself in the mirror for 5 minutes. Why would I want to see myself on the?
We could do it where we do our show Friday night and we just go right to live stream after that until the next show Saturday night.
Oh my God.
and then we do our live show Saturday night, and then done. What do you think?
I'm not thinking about that. That's for sure.
I don't know who would tune in at like 3 a.m. and stuff, but it'd be a hell of a stream, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, but I can't sign up for that one.
Don.
Yeah, and be zombies. Stacy's like, yeah, you'll be zombies too.
Yeah, it's okay. We're zombies now, Stacy.
Well, that's true. We're zombies most
Have you
of the
not
time.
heard the show?
We're usually stumbling and fumbling.
Yeah, exactly. I think that could be cool. That's a good idea, actually. I kind of like
man, I should have never brought it up.
You shouldn't have, but
I
now
should
you
not have
did. And
brought
now
it
I'm
up.
thinking.
Dang it.
Well, you can go take nap time every once in a while. If you
Yeah,
want.
we could break each other out for an hour or so.
Yeah,
take a nap.
yeah. We'll do the Longbeard report for like 5 hours while I
Oh
sleep.
my god.
And then, I'll take it while you sleep for about an hour. And
Oh my god.
did you notice that time discrepancy? I get a 5-hour nap.
and
and
I
you
do
get an
5
hour.
hours. I get an hour.
You
yeah.
get an hour. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this will work. I think it's good.
I think you're just fooling yourself.
I'm not. I'm kind of into it, because I think it'll be a way to push this really to the next level, Don. We could do some promotionals about 24 hours of Paranormal Portal. You're singing over the top of me. You know that. Right?
Yeah.
Is this intentional? I think this could be good. I'm kind of liking this idea, Don.
You better hire a couple other MCs to get up in here.
MCs. What is this, a rave? Boots and cats and boots and cats and boots. That's the only beatboxing I can do. I don't know, 24-hour live stream would be 24-hour Paranormal Portal Marathon would be
Oh God.
uber. Maybe we could do it on Halloween.
Well, then we could take and just play all of our evidence reviews for an hour or two too. Also.
Yeah, we could plug those in for, what do we got? We got 10 of them now.
Yeah, we got 10 of them.
So at 10 minutes each, well, right around 7 to 10 minutes.
It's an hour and gosh, that's an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe we'll have a couple more done by then.
Stacy says she'll help out.
Stacy, we're gonna Skype you in, girl. You're gonna do a section of it with me if we do this. But you better dig up some spookiness. Gotta find some spooky stuff to talk
Some
about.
spooky stuff.
Yeah, 24 hours of material. That'd be kind of tough.
That would be that'd definitely be rough.
It would be. We could read really slowly, like, I was furious at him and started yelling.
Well, and what
like
we could
crazy.
and another thing we could do is just broadcast stories while we go and just add content, broadcast like audiobook.
Of Don Longbeard reading an audiobook.
Oh God.
I'm just saying that's kind of a cool idea.
Audiobook.
What's even cooler is that somebody thought about it because they wanted to hear more of the show.
I think they were just being facetious, but whatever.
Don, you're just gonna deflate my balloons right as I'm like carrying. I'm having a party here.
Oh, Stacy says she's got spooky stories.
Stacy's got spooky stories.
Yeah,
Cool.
Definitely.
There you go.
Definitely. Live from Texas.
Live from the Paranormal Portal Texas studio.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, definitely do that.
Stacy, mistress of the night.
Oh, goodness.
I don't know. I'm just winging this. I'm just thinking on my feet here, Don. I'm not. I guess that didn't sound real flattering. I'm sorry, Stacy. In my head, that sounded way cooler than I didn't mean it for.
Goodness.
Yeah, I'm just hanging myself here, Don. Check out the camera. Look at.
Oh,
That was me.
jeez.
That was me hanging myself.
Pixie's back with us.
Pixie, it's about time,
Yay!
girl. Jeez. So.
What the heck was that? That's a good name. She likes that name for the Paranormal Portal Texas studio.
Oh, she likes the name. Cool. All right, good. Mistress of the Night, Stacy.
Like like Elvira.
That's right.
So yep.
That's right. I think I'm thinking about this, Don. I don't know. I'll put some thought into it. I think it'd have to be probably in November.
Oh God.
What? What's November?
I think that's quite the challenge. We'll have to pre-record some stuff so we can.
Well, yeah. I mean, some of it we can, and I got to make sure that my computer doesn't drop a log right at like it did tonight.
You mean poop out?
Yeah, essentially, I mean poop out. Yeah, it's like what? It's just like all of a sudden, zzz, the camera's frozen. I'm like, oh no. And then the noise zzz, in my ear. I'm like, oh God, we're frozen.
Oh, jeez.
We just froze.
We did it again.
Oh,
And it was going so good. It was going so good. I wonder if it's because the picture changed on the background.
What?
Yeah. No, I'm joking.
Oh yeah, because the portal opened and sucked us in.
Sucked us right in.
Yeah, we got sucked into the portal. I said it. I said it to Pixie. I think that it sucks up all the evil. So
Yeah.
that's probably what happened.
Yeah. She thought we kicked her out. No, we wouldn't kick her
We
out.
never kick
No.
anybody out, Pixie. We are the non-kicking show.
We beg for people to listen.
Wow. Yeah, we're gonna get out our bells and our
Yes, Jeffrey
Donation
Dahmer, John Gacy, come on in.
oh Jesus. Yeah, no, we're good. We're fine. So we got a few people in here. Thank you guys for re-finding the stream. I'm sorry about that lockup. I don't know what happens. I don't I don't know why it happens. I can be on this computer for days and never do anything, and then once I try to actually do something interactive like this, it's like oh no.
Wait, I gotta wait for the leg, and then he goes.
Yeah, it's just terrible.
I
That's what it sounds
love
like to me.
watching you on my computer while we're doing this. This is awesome.
Yeah, well, you can see all my faces that I'm making.
You see the fat guy sitting back going, ha, ha, ha.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your support, Don.
You're very welcome.
You are a part of this portal, by the way. So.
Yeah, and I fell through it too, buddy.
Yeah, you got sucked in. It was the...
Yeah, that's what happened. I got stuck halfway down the portal and coughed us back out.
it spit us out. It's like, nope.
Not that one.
What is this, a charity? Get out of here. No, I don't know. But it's always an adventure here on the portal. And I know Elizabeth said we're her favorite team. So thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth, for that. And I hope you're cheering loudly because, man, I tell you, it's really, you know what I mean? It's just like you put so much effort into it. It's like we did this now, we got this thing going on behind us. And it's like, oh, that's cool. It's like adding production quality. It's adding another element visually to what we're doing. And that's, it's fun. And it did work out really good. It's exciting that we have that behind us. And it's exciting that there's something else going on other than watching us look around and and moving our lips. So
Two talking heads sharing the same space.
we're gonna South Park it up in here.
Hey, yes.
Oh, God, no.
I don't know. It's just like I don't know. It's we'll get this all dialed in, ladies and gentlemen, at some point in the future. But until then, thank you for putting up with us, and thank you for coming back to the stream. Coming back, all four of you, or all three of you. I guess Don counts as one. But I love all three of you dearly. You are my favies.
Our favorites. Our core.
Yeah, this is our core for sure. So, all right, so let's just have a look at some of these other stories. I'm going to read through. Did you have more too, Don?
I've got more, yeah.
You do? Okay, well, let me read one, and then you can read one. And
Sure.
we're probably going to go till about 9, ladies and gentlemen, so if that works out for you, don't go away. Don't, tell your friends to come on over. We'll have a party up in here.
Up in here, up in here.
All right, so the first one is called Let's Kick This Off. It's just, it's not called anything. It's just a story from Puerto Rico, or Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. The first time I ever saw a ghost, I was only 8 years old. My mom, my brother, and I had come home pretty late from grocery shopping and visiting my aunt. I went to a closet in the hall where we kept some of our groceries and started putting away the canned food, just like my mother told me. My older brother started teasing me and pushing me inside the closet. I laughed the first couple of times, but then he started pushing me harder. I lost it when he pushed me so hard I hit my head against the wooden shelf inside the closet, so I shouted at him and followed him to my mom's room, where I thought I saw his shadow run. I was furious at him and started yelling like crazy. It took some time to realize it wasn't him. As soon as I saw this big black human-shaped shadow, it vanished through the window. I think I stood there for a good minute before I heard my brother screaming in horror to stop messing with him. Finally, I could move my legs and went to the kitchen where he was. I found he was covering his eyes, yelling my name and telling me to stop. My mom came in at that moment, and we both calmed down, and he asked, how you did that? Repeatedly. Both my mom and I asked him what he meant. I was already freaked out, but then he said, you flew through the ceiling and you had your face torn out. How did you do that? I explained to them what happened to me, and he said he never pushed me. And, well, I never actually saw him. I assumed it was him. Since my mom was in the bathroom, we used to play like that. Well, not with that much force. Since that happened, doors will open by themselves. My mom used to smoke outside the house past midnight, and she always saw shadows running around the house. I was so glad when we moved out of that house.
I would be too.
Yeah, that'd be.
See ya.
See ya. I'm noping out of here.
Here's the big bag of nopes I'm leaving behind for you.
All right. Take it away, Mr. Longbeard.
All right. This one's called The Next Door Neighbor. Brown chicken, brown cow. That's exactly what I hear. That's what I think. I'm sorry. I'm horrible. I'm a horrible person, everyone. All right. So
there's a reason the portal sucked him in.
And there's that skeleton again.
Yeah.
We got to name him.
Okay. We'll work on that.
All right. The next door neighbor says, first off, I want to start by saying hello. Says, my name is Daniel and I'm now 19. I have a son and I'm an electrical estimator in training. To begin my story, a little background must be established. I never experienced anything paranormal in my life, but my grandmother was big on it. Family stories tell us how her house in Mexico was horribly haunted. Oh, well, here we go. I have many of those stories I'll share later. But other than that, I've never been introduced to paranormal, so now my story. I was 7 years old at the time. It was summer of 2005, and my cousin Jay, initial to keep his name private, was over for a few weeks to do what kids do, enjoy the summer. While he was over, we told him about our next-door neighbor. She was a really old woman who lived by herself and had many cats. What was strange was that she would come out at exactly 12 a.m., call her cats, even though most had been taken to the pound years ago, and everyone knew that. We thought she might have been sick with some kind of dementia. However, it was scary to wake up to an old woman at 12 a.m. calling out to her now non-existent pets. One day as we came back from the park, we noticed ambulances and fire trucks surrounding her house. We immediately knew what had happened. The old woman had died of a heart attack that afternoon. The next few nights were quiet until about a week later. Only me and my cousin Jay would hear her calling her cats at 12 a.m. Only we could hear it because we'd asked our parents, and they laughed it off thinking we were trying to scare them in a child's game kind of way. We blew it off as being tired and just thinking too much about it. One particular night, we decided to stay up longer and watch an anime marathon on Cartoon Network's old Toonami. It hit 3 a.m. and we got thirsty, so we went to the kitchen to get some water. To help you understand the picture, we live in a duplex, and the kitchen was towards the back of the house on the left, and to the right side of the counter was a sliding glass door to the lanai. You walked to the front of the house about 20 feet, and to the left was the living room and the TV and the couch, and to the right a hallway with a bathroom in the middle with one bedroom on each end of the hallway. My cousin got his cup of water first. I told him to wait for me, so he walks to the glass door to wait for me, and I finish getting my cup, and I walk over to him. He was standing still with his eyes wide open and breathing heavily, just looking out the glass door. I got scared and thought he was having an asthma attack because he had asthma when he was a small toddler, but hadn't had an attack for years. But that was not the case. If he would not be wheezing, that was not the case. If not, he would be wheezing. So I turned my head to look out, and just outside our lanai was an old lady glowing in white, floating off the ground, staring at us. Okay. We were both frozen in shock, and I wanted to run and scream, but I couldn't. She has all gray hair with what looked like a white nightgown, but her mouth was torn, and her jaw was hanging with bloodstains on her gown. We stood in shock for about 15 seconds when the blink of an eye, she was right on the other side of the glass door, almost right in front of us, if there wasn't almost right in front of us if it wasn't a door. Okay. That is when we reacted and ran to my room, dropping our cups in the process, which were plastic in case you wondered if anyone would have heard the cups drop. Okay. We were still unable to talk because we were so scared. We covered ourselves completely in covers and didn't sleep until morning. We agreed to never talk about it and forget about it because we thought it would scare everyone. Then his mom would not let him come over anymore, child logic, and to this day it still gives me the shivers. I don't know if it was the old lady from next door who couldn't move on or if it was something else, but it seemed to correlate with her passing, which is why I include her story, as it's my feeling it was her. Sorry for the long story. Thanks for reading my post. So, the next door neighbor, hearing her call her cats at 12 a.m. Huh.
Uh-huh. That's cool. It's definitely a Halloween story.
Bubba. We could call him Bloody Caesar. Well, he's not bloody, though.
Yeah, there's no blood.
Never mind.
He's bloodless.
And to me, Bloody Bubba is a beer with tomato juice and a shot of Worcester.
What is that?
Yeah, a Bloody Bubba.
Is that really a drink?
It's like a Caesar toe.
A what?
It's a red beer. It's a red beer with
okay.
Worcester and usually Frank's hot sauce.
Okay. See, I don't drink, so I don't really know.
Well, I don't drink anymore, but that's what it was.
Okay, well, I trust you. I mean, it's not that I'm opposed to drinking. I just, I don't choose to, I guess, very much. But I do on occasion.
Okay.
Yeah, I like throwing back a beer every once in a while or a nice glass of wine.
And I'll have to let you know when that elderberry wine's ready.
That would be
my gosh, we tried that this week.
Yeah.
And it was cough syrup. It was so astringent. It was good. It tasted great, but my God, it like 8 ounces of it, and I was like, what? It was great.
Wow. Oh, I'm sorry, I just yawned.
Elderberry whiskey.
I'm honestly not bored.
Not bored. We're tired.
I just don't sleep good. That's my problem.
I haven't lately either.
I just wake up in weird positions and don't take it there.
I didn't say
not
anything.
there. No, I
didn't say
didn't.
It was aliens.
Yeah, I think it was. I think they've been beaming me up and then beaming me down in weird origami positions.
Origami positions.
It's like I wake up and I can hardly move. It's like, oh, God. I don't know. I'm half on the bed, half off the bed, on the floor. I mean, I just wake up all kinds of weird ways. So, I don't know why.
I love watching the stream as we do this because you'll do something and I'll have to see it on the screen during the leg. Heel Armstrong, Jack Morrow. Oh, Jack Morrow. That's good for the name of the skeleton. Jack Morrow.
Marrow.
Marrow, sure.
Like bone
Whatever
marrow.
you want to say.
You say marrow?
Heel Armstrong, yes.
Like
I
bone
say
marrow?
Yeah.
Oh, I always heard it marrow, bone marrow.
Well, yeah,
Jack
whatever.
Marrow. I kind of like that, Jack Marrow. That's a
Jack
good one.
Morrow. That's good.
Who came up with
That was Stacy, yeah.
Oh,
Leave
brilliant.
it to Stacy.
Brilliant, Stace. Nice job. Jack
Heel
Marrow.
Armstrong is a good one, too.
What is it?
Heel, H-E-E-L, Heel Armstrong.
He's not in space, though. But I do like Jack Marrow. That's pretty clever.
Jack Marrow. Yeah. Captain Jack Marrow.
Yeah. If you had a pirate hat on, then it could be Captain Jack. But
We can fix that.
no, I'm pretty sure I can't. I don't have that kind of editing skills. I don't, I'm afraid. But the next story I'm going to read you is when I was 10 years old, I had a slumber party for my birthday. One of my guests was my cousin Colleen, who was the same age as me. Somehow, while we were playing Bloody Mary and Stiff as a Board, wow, way to go right to the diabolical, and other spooky slumber party games, Colleen or I brought up that our grandfather had died just a few months before. This was the scariest story of all because we knew a real dead person.
Jack Morrow.
Yeah. As we were talking about this, suddenly a picture of him flew off the wall. Everyone screamed, and other kids asked to go home. I don't believe in ghosts, and I think this was probably just my brother or mom walking around and making our house shift slightly. Really? Wow. But everyone I've talked to from that sleepover still remembers it being horrifying years later, and my cousin Colleen really believes it was our grandfather contacting us. Now that's it's one thing to not believe in the supernatural or in the paranormal. That's fine. If you choose not to believe it or you just think it's a bunch of bunk, that's fine. But to try that hard to explain a paranormal event in
Right.
mundane terms, it's just you can't suspend logic completely to accommodate your belief system. As much as skeptics use that same argument, I would use it in terms of supporting the paranormal, because pictures don't fly off the wall because your house shifted. And if your house shifts because people happen to be walking around, you should not be living there.
Should be condemned.
You should not be there. That should not be a house anymore. That doesn't count as a house anymore. That's a fun house or an amusement park, something.
Clapboard house.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a
geez.
shanty.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, so I don't know. People will try so hard to hang on to their reality, and it's just weird. Okay, so the next one that I'm going to read to you is, my ghost story is not very long and don't involve seeing ghosts, but hearing them. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad they qualified that a little bit. My first one was when I was about 10 years old and my grandmother had passed away in 1989. A few days after my grandmother's burial, I was sitting in my living room with my mother and we were watching TV and the phone rang. My mom picked up the phone and said, "Hello?" And then I saw her tear up and she said, "Stop it. You're not my mother." I said, "Is that Grandmom? Let me talk to her." And my mom shook her head no. A few seconds passed and she again said, "Stop it," and then hung up the phone. She looked shaken up and I said, "What was that about?" And my mom said, "Whoever that was sounded exactly like my mom and said, 'Patty, it's me, Mom.'" And I said, "You're not my mom." And then the person said, "Stop it, Patty, it's me. Why are you acting like this?" And then I hung up. I was really mad at my mom and I started crying because I missed my grandmom and wanted to talk to her, but my mother still, until this day, swears that voice was her mother, and no one can try to sound like her that well. And why would someone do that anyway? She didn't want to believe it because it's impossible, but she knows it was her. About 10 years ago, my mother lost a necklace that belonged to her mother. She looked everywhere for it at the time. And then about a year ago, she came home from going out to eat with my dad, and her necklace that she had lost was lying in the middle of the kitchen floor. And it wasn't there when she had left. Was it her mother? Who knows?
Well, that'd be definitely one way to prove a point, but 10 years difference.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
that's pretty amazing. I think if I was the daughter, I'd be pissed too, because if someone deceased that I loved passed away and made a phone call, I'd be like, "Yeah, let me have the phone. I want to say say hi." I mean, there are so many accounts of people claiming that they received phone calls from deceased loved ones. Some of them are really touching, and I think that's such a powerful experience, and to deny I don't know, I guess maybe she's just protecting her daughter maybe at the time, I don't know. It's just one of those things that I think I'd be pissed too. It's like, oh, never mind, I'm not gonna,
You so and so. You so and so.
you so and so, how dare you make choices for me like that. So the next one is called
Nothing.
nothing. It's called whatever the author decided to put in there for a little descriptor. But I used to live in my fiance's dad's house in the basement apartment. The house was right by Lake Ronkonkoma. Every night at 11:30, my cat would go insane and start running around the apartment. One night, I got up to go to the bathroom at around 11 p.m. In the hallway leading to upstairs, I saw a female figure with long black hair and a white dress. She didn't last very long, but to this day, I'm still convinced it was the Native American princess that drowned herself in Lake Ronkonkoma. I lived on a lake for like most of my life in Minnesota, and it was Lake Pepin, and basically it's the widest part of the Mississippi River, and so they call it a lake, and it extends from a town south of the cities, the Twin Cities, the Minneapolis, St. Paul, all the way down to the southern town of Winona. And there was a town called Maiden Rock, and that was the name of the town. And it was based on an Indian legend, a Native American legend, sorry, that a woman who was daughter of the chief fell in love with a man, but her father didn't approve and arranged a different marriage for her, and so she threw herself to her death. And it seems like there are so many lakes that have this legend, you know. And so I don't know what to think about those, if they're all grounded in reality or not. But you know what I mean? Have you ever heard of those legends of the Native American?
Right. Well,
girl?
I looked this one up specifically, and most prevalent legend is about Princess Ronkonkoma, an Indian princess who died at the lake in the mid 1600s.
Huh.
So there you go.
Now look up Maiden Rock.
Down at Fraggle Rock. No, Maiden Rock, sorry.
Maiden Rock. Yep. It's a town in Wisconsin. It's on the other side of the river, or Lake Pepin.
Maiden Rock.
Yes. Now I'm curious to hear if they give a similar description.
Well, it says something about a ghost town. Let's see here.
What?
It's on the Halloween Harbor Halloween Festival and Haunted tour.
Okay.
And it does say something, Maiden Cane, haunting on the harbor.
Okay, so they're just promoting it.
Yeah, that's all it looks like. But apparently there's something going on there. Let's see here.
I mean, it's called Maiden Rock, and it's what we had always heard was there was a legend of a woman throwing herself from the bluffs. They're called bluffs there. They're
Right.
not, they're little rounded hills. Well, they're actually pretty big, but not like a mountain size.
Haunted places in Maiden Rock, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, God. That's hilarious.
It's a meme on this page, but it's
that's funny.
it shows
Ooh.
Hillary and Bill together, and Hillary does one of her weird oohs, and somebody memed in a little ghost floating around. Very
Okay,
cool.
well, I think I'll have to.
Okay, well, anyway, I don't mean to drag this out extra long, but the next one is in my apartment in Brooklyn. I lived above a family, so I didn't always lock the door to my apartment. If I was just running out to get something real quick, the front door to the house was downstairs, so I would leave without locking my door and come home to find it locked. This happened for a while. At first, I thought it was just I was just absent-minded, but then it was clear that I had not locked the door. So one night, I was up late binging Lost. Oh, okay, binging on the television show Lost. And I had this very clear feeling. I didn't see anything, but I just knew that someone was in the room with me, and it was a young boy. It freaked me out, and I went to bed. The next day, I politely said out loud in my apartment by myself that I appreciated that this was his house too, and I hoped we could live together. But would he please stop locking my doors? And he did.
Well, there you go.
Wow.
There you go. Ask and ye shall receive.
There
You
you
mentioned
go.
that earlier
Yeah.
on the other stream.
Right, on the part one.
Exactly.
This is part two.
part one of Wednesday's adventure.
Yeah, we just end up with part twos anyway. I don't know what it is, but we do, right? I mean, that's not just me.
No, you're right. It happens every week.
Yeah, so I guess we'll have to put out a disclaimer. If the stream tops, please
Jump
stick
to
around.
part two.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a disclaimer. Have
So.
to do that.
Run for the hills.
Yeah, Pixie mistook Maiden Rock for Iron Maiden. I don't know how.
Run to the hills. It's a great song.
I'll run for my life.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the next one is, I'm just going to read a few down, if
Go
that's
ahead.
right.
Well, we're getting close to, we're 4 minutes from 9 o'clock here on the West Coast.
So, what are you saying, Don?
Well, you said something about 9 o'clock.
Do you have a curfew?
Yeah.
We'll just call this a dry run for the 24-hour marathon.
Yeah.
I had a friend pass away, and the day of his service, we would get phone calls from his cell phone. Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. Which his mom confirmed was off in the kitchen junk drawer, and confirmed by the cell phone company that it hadn't made any outgoing calls. We decided to use a Ouija board and we would talk to him, and one day we asked him to call us, and he told us a time and everything. A few minutes leading up to the call, we sat quietly and waited, and he called us the exact time he told us on the Ouija board.
Huh.
So did anybody talk to him? Where does that go? That's it. That's like
That's
the
it.
story.
Yeah, the phone rang.
The phone
ring,
rang.
ring, ring.
So
Well, that'd be creepy enough, though.
that would be that would be bizarre, but I wish there was more to that story, and that one's kind of long. So do you want to read another one down?
Sure. Scratching symbols at my door, possibly demonic?
Ooh.
This happened to my family about a year ago, but I can remember it very clearly. It was only a year ago. But anyhow, he remembers it very clearly. It was the first of several paranormal things that happened, things that after a time just went away. But this one, the first one, is the one that I remember the clearest. Anyway, at least it's anyway, not anyways. Anyway, my brother and I were in our room when we heard scratching on our closed door. The dog was in the room with us and nobody else was home. So it couldn't have been anybody else in our family. Not only that, but we also heard no footfalls in the hallway. If it was an earthly person, we should have heard them. To describe it, it was not mere scratching. It sounded as if a sharp fingernail was tracing out a symbol, perhaps one with a circle. I distinctly remember a circle. It was near the bottom of the door, but it seemed very detailed because the scratching went on for a long time. I wonder now, especially because my family saw what my family saw later, whether this was demonic in nature. But it went on for a long time, and then it just stopped. I didn't know if I should investigate what made the noise or not, but we both heard it as clear as day. My brother and I were almost paralyzed with fear because until then, we had both been skeptics. For some time after that, other things happened. My brother saw a tall, dark figure standing over me and watching me like a shadow person. Then he saw it run past the top of the stairs. My dad saw it in the living room, and in the basement, my sister saw a woman with a long white dress. My dog sat in my room very still, staring at nothing into a very specific corner of my room. From that very corner one night, I felt a presence that was very evil. There haven't been any weird things for a while now, but I'm not a skeptic anymore. My brother and I refer to this entity as our ghost, but we never found out what it truly was. Interesting.
That is.
But they never really said if there was anything on the actual door. They just said they heard the scratching at the door in the bottom corner.
That is interesting. That's there's lots of holes in these stories many times, or at least omitted points that they forget to readdress.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to know if a sigil or something had been traced on their door, and if they had taken a picture or had a rendering of it to check. I know that there are many signs and sigils and such depending on your type of belief.
Right.
But it'd be interesting to know. But no such luck. So this one's called whatever it's called. Again, it's they say it's like full on Freddy Krueger scary. So we'll see. They don't really give a title at all. They just do these little author or quips from the person organizing the material. It's like a bad television show. So, and now we'll hear from Jake. He tried to do this. Was it a good move? We'll stick around and find out. So, when I was little, I had nightmares every single night about being in my basement and feeling extremely scared. But I couldn't run. I would run, but I would stay in the same spot. Oh, I've had those. Those suck. And when I was younger, I used to have those as well. And the room looked like it was lit by a red light bulb. I don't remember anyone else in the dream. My mother said the bathroom was next to my room, and she would hear the toilet flush in the middle of the night all the time and think it was me. But when she would check, I would be sleeping in bed. I had my nightmares every night until we moved a few years later. My mom had one of our neighbors from our old house come over to our new house, and my mom ended up telling her about my nightmares. The neighbor said, well, maybe that's because before you lived in that house, a man was caught molesting his daughter, and he hung himself in that basement.
Oh.
Eesh. Ugh, that's a dark one. I had the dream only once every few years since moving out. I grew up and got married and bought a house and had a son. When my son was little, I was in his room with him playing, and he stopped and stared at the rocking chair in the corner of his room and then ran over to me and said, "Who's that man behind the chair?" And I said, "What man?" My son said, "That man. He told me to get out," and it scared me so much that we got up and left that room. Whenever no one is home and it's just me, I can hear his toys going off in his toy box and no one was touching them. It did it a lot, even after changing the batteries, and then I would hears voices in his room, and when I would go in and check, there was no one there. But then I heard it while I was in there, and it was my voice. Oh, that's creepy. I'd given my son one of those storybooks that you read and record your voice. It only works when you open up the book and turn the pages. The book was closed and on the bookshelf.
Oh.
After that, I took all the batteries out of everything in his room and never told my son about this. My son has not slept in his room ever since the rocking chair incident. He's almost 8 now. He doesn't remember telling me that, but when he's in his room playing, he insists that I come in the room with him. I still wonder if maybe that ghost from my old house has followed me here.
Wow.
Yeesh.
Yeah, especially a child molesting ghost.
Yeah, that's
Well, let me rephrase that. A ghost of a child molester.
right. Yeah. Oh, that's dark. Let me try another one here. At a sleepover in 2nd grade, I got up in the middle of the night to get a glass of water. When I got into the kitchen, I saw my great-grandmother sitting on the other side of the kitchen table eating a cookie. She was like a bluish-gray, fuzzy vision dressed in one of her usual shawls, and I could see through to the wall behind her. She waved to me and smiled, and I bolted out of the room.
I got out.
Wow. I don't know. That's really cool. On the way back, I stepped on a Barbie doll's hand. If you have never done this, it hurts like hell. And jumped into my sleeping bag. I woke up the next morning not knowing if it had been a weird dream, but I had a scratch on the bottom of my foot from stepping on the Barbie, so I knew it wasn't. I told my grandmother about it, and she asked what kind of cookie. When I said it was an oatmeal raisin, she smiled and told me that those were always her favorite. Well, that's a neat story. I don't know. I guess I've not had that ever happen to me, so I don't know how I would process it, but I would hope that, if a loved one that had passed came back to see me, that I would have some composure and some dignity, not like, I'm out of here.
Well, yeah. I mean, would I, if anything like that ever happened to me, it might change my views on, ghosts and paranormal happenings and things like that. But, hopefully I'd have the sense to sit down and they're not being threatening. So sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, I always wanted to ask you X, or, hey, tell me a story, something.
Right. I know that any kind of manifestation is supposed to be incredibly hard for the spirits, and I
don't waste their time.
They've never told me this, but that's what people say.
Right.
And I don't have any way to quantify that at all, but I assume that it must be true because actual manifestations are so rare. But if someone that I love did appear, I wonder if I've heard of people having actual conversations with people that have passed on,
Right.
actual conversations, and even manifestations to the point that it looked like another person until they boom disappeared or something. Now I had an angelic encounter, and I'm pretty sure that guy was as real as could be. I shook his hand a couple times, but then when he disappeared, it was just like poof,
Right.
It was I turned my head and turned back, and he was just gone, and that was very, very surreal. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that whole line of thinking, to be honest with you. I'm just playing it off the cuff, I guess. All right, so the next one. I didn't see a ghost per se. It was a couple of crazy experiences in the same house, experienced by a couple of us living there and at some parties. First, my buddy and I were in the living room hanging out, and we heard the cupboards in my kitchen opening and shutting. We heard someone calling, "Hey, hey." We walk in, and all of the cupboards are open. Later on, same place, we were having a party, and we have a girl who was pretty tipsy. So we had her go lay down in the back of the house. We hear yelling and glass break. Obviously, we are freaked out. Sure, someone has tried to take advantage of this passed-out girl. 4 of us go back there, and she is asleep, tucked in, and there are several broken glasses next to the door.
Huh.
She has no recollection of this. And lastly, I was in the house alone and I went to take a shower. The bathroom was a Jack and Jill style bathroom where the sink and counter were in one space and there was a door separating the toilet and the shower from that space. I finished my shower and went to leave that space, and I am stuck in the room. I can only see through the tiny crack the door will open, and every single drawer was wide open, blocking the door. I was stuck in there for like 2 hours until someone came home. The main door in the vanity area was stuck shut, and it did not have a lock. We moved out that month, and that was the final straw.
We're done.
That's a good story, though.
Yeah.
These are really some good stories. I like this page, and it's from some ecards.com. So that happened. Real life ghost stories. Wow, I love these stories though. They're very cool. You got another one, Don?
Sure.
I don't know how long we'll end up going, but it's after 9 now. But how we doing? We still got 6 people in here.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, we're 2 of them.
Well, yeah, maybe we are, but we're entertaining 4 people. Don, this is the VIP
Hey, you
show.
know what? What more can we ask for? Get it? For? See what I did there?
There's a reason I keep them around, ladies and gentlemen.
This is a warning, demonic entity. I don't know where I'm finding these demonic ones, but hey, what the hell?
It's the Halloween season.
What the hell? Ha ha ha. See what I did there?
Yeah.
As some on the site may remember, I'm a paranormal investigator with years of experience. This didn't help me when I needed it most. Since October, I've been dealing with something dangerous, and only now do I have the strength to talk about it. Back in September, I did an investigation, the aftermath of which is still affecting me. During the investigation, which was in Aberdeen, Scotland, I got attacked by something that wasn't there. I now know this was demonic. I had to remove myself from the investigation as I had a few broken ribs and a few other injuries. I don't want to speak about those injuries, though. The only reason this attack and investigation has been mentioned will soon become clear. I struggle to write this, so if you have questions, ask. It says, the first few weeks after the investigation, not much was happening. The first few weeks after the investigation, not too much was happening. Things were normal in my house, as hearing footsteps, a couple knocks, nothing major. Excuse me. The most notable new thing that started to happen in my house during this time was my front door started to unlock and open on its own at night. This only happened maybe 4 or 5 times, but it's not exactly normal. And stuff is getting thrown about my house. I would say maybe 3 weeks after things started happening, I felt like I needed to go back to that house in Aberdeen and try to get whatever followed me to leave me alone. All I did was anger it. I was always telling people to be careful after being attacked or anything negative happening to them. I just wish I'd took my own warnings. Also in October, my mom died, so I think this thing saw me as an easy target. Oh. This is when it becomes harder to talk about. Even now, I'm still suffering from the demonic oppression. A few weeks after the oppression kicked in, I got a phone call from the client telling me she decided to sell the house, so we felt like idiots. So, like an idiot, I bought it. After that, things just got worse. I became very angry to the point of my ex-wife was scared to have me around her and my daughter, so I moved out. He was living with his ex-wife and his daughter.
Wow.
I moved into the house after moving. I only argued or fought with people I loved and cared about. For this, I can never ask for forgiveness. For a while, the only place I felt accepted was in that house. People around me didn't like what I had become during this time. After 8 months of torture, I'm now getting back to normal, but I know this will always be in the back of my mind. I'm going to keep that house and not let anyone in until I know the place is safe. I only wrote about this as a warning to other people. Wow.
Wow. Yikes.
Huh.
Sketchy, yeah.
Craziness. Uh-oh.
Pixie, you kill me. That's funny. Throw a beard in there somewhere.
What?
I asked him if they liked the portal graphic, and Stacy and Pixie both said, yeah, that's great. And then Pixie said we should throw a random beard in there somewhere.
Jeez. A talking beard.
Throw a disco beard up in there. The bearded ghost. It's the ghost of Longbeard. The pirate.
Now, wait a minute. I'm sitting right here.
I know, but you got a ghost in there somewhere, don't you?
Yeah, well, I suppose so.
You haven't given up the ghost yet, have you?
I don't know.
Don?
I've been told I'm a soulless bastard.
Well, there you have it. All right, so next one I'm going to read because I'm just going to keep going. Are you okay with keep going, Don?
Yeah, keep going.
All right, we're going, ladies and gentlemen.
Keep
We
going.
are going to stick this out for a little bit longer here.
Or until I fall asleep.
You better not fall asleep.
No,
This
I'm
is
far from falling asleep.
all right, he's far from falling asleep, ladies and gentlemen. We can get another couple hours out of him.
It's far from Nugan.
I'm just kidding. There'll be about part 4 of the broadcast tonight. I'm sure something will. Never mind. I'm not going to say it. I was going to cuss, but I don't try to cuss ever on the air and when we do the show because I like to keep it family friendly. But I was, I'm sure something would poop the bed before a couple hours was up. So, but we'll just keep going until we just run out of steam, I guess. I don't know. We'll go for at least for a few more stories anyway.
Sure.
I was waitressing at the Jane Hotel, which is known for being haunted. There was a huge TV shoot in the bar next door, that terrible show Vinyl. I never saw Vinyl. Did you, Don?
No, I don't even know.
Okay, Vinyl. And one of my tables was a producer and her assistant. I was taking their order, and one of the wine glasses quickly moved all the way across the table, then stopped right as it got to the edge. I gasped, and when I asked if they saw the wine glass move, the older woman said, "Oh, don't worry about it. Ghosts follow me everywhere." And her assistant confirmed, "Yeah, this happens everywhere we go. This is nothing compared to when we locked me in one locked me in a hotel room." Yeah, that's
That would suck.
how do you get locked in a hotel room?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's craziness. All right, next one. Oh, there's an editor's note on this one. The Necronomicon is a fictional tome from an H.P. Lovecraft story, described as a history and summoning manual of the old ones, but it has roots in many legends about evil/magic books. I don't know that
Was it Salman Rushdie? Was that the alias that he used at that time?
No, Salman Rushdie wrote the Satanic Verses.
Yes, that's right.
Went after the religion of Islam, and is
Right.
currently in hiding ever since. So, every town has rumors, right? After high school, I moved to live with my dad in Indiana. For the first year, I was stupid and hung around the wrong sort of crowd. I don't mean drugs or anything quite that dumb. It was the crowd of semi-goths trying to be cool. So the rumor around town was that a student at the local university had gone into the woods near campus. I'm not giving the specific name for obvious reasons, and she had read from the Necronomicon. Now, if you don't know what that book is, Google it. If you don't want to do that, just know that it is some evil stuff. Anyways, the local Wiccan group had apparently gone into the woods to fix the storm that the student had summoned, but there was still a remnant of something dark, let's just say. I have a side story to this. So when one of my friends had the brilliant idea, let's take a Ouija board out in the woods and see what happens. 4 of us went. I was the only wary one. My dad had told me for years that no Ouija boards were allowed in his house. This was the first time I was using one, and honestly, I could not shake my dad's words from my mind as we walked through the pitch black night of a 1 a.m. Midwestern summer. We were looking for the supposed clearing the student had read the book in. There was only one clearing in these woods, and because I have the worst luck ever, we found it. So my 3 friends are setting up with the board and the flashlights that did zero good to show anything further than 10 feet in any direction. I was feeling on edge. When the time came to kneel down and play this horrible game, quote unquote game, I shook my head and whipped my head in every direction as they asked numerous questions, still laughing in their clueless way. 10 minutes had to have passed, and I was watching as they grew bored. One of them kicked the board and said something like, Whatever is in this place is effing worthless. One of my friends, still manning the board and straightening it out after it had been kicked, said, "Show us you're here. Prove that you're real." I was freezing, and I was positive it had gotten colder suddenly. The way I'd been feeling on edge was heightened, and I heard crackling off in the darkness, like tree branches being snapped. It had not been there before, and I was backing away from the tree line when a beyond ear-splitting, deafening shriek came from one of my friends that had been on the ground all at the board. I whipped around, and the board was visibly shaking like there was an earthquake, but the ground under my feet was still. Then the board was still, and the girl who shrieked had fallen back from where she was kneeling before. She was staring up and breathing like her lungs weren't able to hold enough air. I was shouting at her to get up, and so were the other two as we made to haul our tails out of the clearing back to our car on the main road. She said she couldn't move, and I was the closest to her, so I stalked closer and grabbed her hand. But as soon as I lifted it, I felt something push hard against my shoulder, making me fall back. I couldn't even scream, I was so terrified. Everyone stared at the spot above our friend on the ground and then at each other. After what was only a few seconds, our friend on the ground slowly curled to sit up, shaking. "It's letting me up." No one gave a care to ask what it was. We ran, leaving our lights and board all behind. We never went back, and to my knowledge, none of us have ever breathed a word of it until now. Moral of the story: don't mess with things you don't understand. There is evil out there, and if you give it an open door to present itself, it will.
Oh, gee. You figure?
Yeah, apparently. I know they say the Necronomicon is work of fiction, but there is a legendary book allegedly out there, and not that the one that Lovecraft wrote about is legitimate or not. I don't know. Again, it's legendary. But I did watch a Celebrity Ghost Story, and Marilyn Manson was talking about how he was bullied into reading it and had problems after that for quite a long time. So,
Wow. I think that's one of those things that you have to have some kind of deep belief that it is evil.
yeah.
That book's not. It was written as a history to his Cthulhu mythos.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, I have all of his Cthulhu books at home.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I had a Necronomicon. I really do.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
You can get them on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm a purist. I want to go back to when I want to get a 1938 copy of it.
Oh, okay.
That'd only run me a few $1,000s.
I read parts of it, a paperback version that I had gotten a hold of back in high school, and I know they were talking about the Mad Arab and stuff, and
Right.
it was plenty weird.
Yep.
I didn't read so much of it that I felt that I absorbed anything negative, but it was a weird book, just very weird. So, again, it talks about spells and it talks about, rituals. The thing to remember is that we create reality.
Right.
And so if you have belief in those spells and rituals, they will be valid. They will have some effect on the world around you. But, at the same point, if you I guess people give them the reality is my main point, that, they create the magic through their faith, through their, so even if it is a work of fiction, it's powerful if people believe it's powerful. So, I don't know. My 2 cents. All right, this one is: when I was a teen and performing off-Broadway as Pinocchio, I saw the ghost of Diana Barrymore in the wings of the 74th Street Theater, now unfortunately demolished. Barrymore had once told her ex-husband, the actor Branwell Fletcher, that she would follow him around after she died. He had been in a show at the theater a few weeks before. She was wearing the dress/costume she wore in the show where they met. I saw a picture of her in that dress and recognized her immediately. Wow, that's cool. Are you okay?
Yeah.
All right. That is way too loud in my headphones, just for the record.
Oh, and Stacy says, I've got to go to bed.
Oh,
We came on
no.
early just so we could get our friends on the East Coast and Midwest, and now they're going to bed
Well, everybody needs their sleep. It is midweek after all.
midweek. So what? It's hump day.
Yeah, it is. But
If you've made it this far, you're over the hump. Let's keep going.
all right. Well, is she saying she's going now?
Yeah, she says goodnight.
All right. Good night, Stacy. Thanks for being here, and thanks,
Thanks for hanging out with us.
thanks for finding us a second time after the
Yeah.
first stream broke.
She was the first one in.
She was. She's always been an amazing supporter of the show and what we're doing. So, thank you, Stacy. Appreciate it. And I don't know, Don. What do you think? Is that maybe a good place to call it?
Well, let's do a couple more stories because it's according to my clock, it's only 9:22, Stacy. So let's do till 9:30. So give it another couple minutes, and then we'll wrap her up. Does that sound good?
Sounds fair enough.
All right.
For a couple of years in high school, I lived in a historic haunted hotel by choice. I have a ton of stories, but these are some of the best. I had a suite with my cousin, 2 separate rooms that were divided with a bathroom. One morning I got into the shower, and when I came out, the temperature dropped dramatically, and suddenly I could feel the breath of someone in my ear. A little boy whispered, "Mommy, Mommy," in my ear. Needless to say, I freaked out. On top of that, next door my aunt owned a salon that used to be an old post office. The salon was extremely haunted, and I used to close it down all by myself, which often left me with a sense of panic. I always felt like someone was watching me. The stations were situated across from the cash wrap, and on a few nights I saw an old man with a striped sweater, khaki pants, and a long gray beard just sitting in the chair watching me close down the register. Don, were you in there?
No, I was not.
It wasn't you?
No.
At that time, I lived in Flagstaff, Arizona, and we used to do a ghost tours during October. It was rumored that all of downtown was haunted, and during one of the ghost tours, a lady actually described the same man. She saw him in her crystal shop. I never gave the description of the clothing when I was telling the story, but she described it perfectly. Apparently, that man was able to go to other places besides just the salon.
Huh.
Well, that's cool. That's encouraging because it's
Transient ghost.
right. I mean, I just always feel bad if they're just like stuck in one place, like the corner of a room or a closet or some kind of crap like that. It's like, really? That's why you got to work through all this? Oh, that would be horrible. So it's nice to know that they can move around and they're not just anchored, or at least some of them can, or I don't know. I don't know what the situation is. Did you want to read one more, Don?
Sure, I got one more. Let's go here.
Okay.
This one's called Entity or Paranoia.
Hmm.
Says, all of this started when I moved into a new house after my parents split up. The house was old but spacious, and the rent was affordable. So my mom and I decided to move into it. It was also very close to my school. So the first night I spent in my new home was unsettling. I happened to be the type of person who would fall asleep very quickly, and I had a lot of difficulty going to bed. That doesn't sound difficult. Go to bed, fall asleep. As in, I was exhausted from moving, but I still couldn't sleep. Oh, okay, well. I shrugged the feeling off, thinking it could be the new house, the furniture, and unfamiliar surroundings. But flash forward 5 months later, and I still couldn't fall asleep easily in my room. But if I tried to sleep in my mother's room or the living room, I'd be asleep in minutes. It was just my room that gave me the creeps. I would also like to mention that I constantly hear dogs barking and cats screeching. There are 9 dogs down my lane. Due to all these disturbances, I began sleeping in my mother's room. Everything was fine and dandy. I could rest without problems. But I did have an occasional feeling of being watched. About a year later, I decided to occupy the room once again. We got new furniture, and I was comfortable in my home. I could sleep easily too. But now the problem was that I was being woke up in the middle of the night, and let me tell you, I actually slept through an earthquake once. Nothing could wake me up unless I was sick. I would wake up at odd hours like 1 a.m. or 2:45, sometimes even around 3:15. It creeped me out, and I could feel someone staring at me. I couldn't see anyone. But I felt the presence of a tall man standing near the door just staring at me. He never entered the room, just stood there. I still get goosebumps thinking about it. I wear a talisman around my neck, and so. I held on to it, chanted a prayer that I was taught in Sanskrit. I willed myself to go asleep. I told my mother, and she dismissed it by saying that it could be my father, but my father is still alive, and this man's build is lean and tall, where my father's build is tall and larger. I told myself that it was fine, even if it was an entity, it wouldn't hurt me, and I cleansed the room with sea salt. I don't know what or who that entity was, and it confuses me to this day. Huh.
Very cool. Okay, this one is... I was staying at my mom's new home in town for my brother's wedding about 4 years ago. Her elderly cousin took my mom's room, so she and I bunked up in 2 twin beds in the spare/my room. The night after the wedding, we went to bed fairly early from being wiped out from the long previous night's festivities. Oh, wrong page. At some point in the middle of the night, around 2, I woke up to a figure standing over me. I closed my eyes to make sure I was really awake and that I was fully comprehending what was happening. If I opened them again, it was gone. Then I knew it was a trick of the light or me half dreaming or something. Well, I opened them again, and an aggressive male figure was wearing a gray sweatshirt, hood up, with arms up in a fighting stance, waving his hands towards him to come fight. The hole where a head would be was completely black except for a pair of white glowing eyes. I screamed bloody murder, waking my mom up, who saw nothing, as I tried to explain what had just happened. Her first response was that I was dreaming, but when she came over to my bed to calm me down, she felt the sweat through my shirt and my heart racing, and I realized I really believed something was in the room. I don't know for sure what it was, but the next morning I threw away a gag Ouija board we got a couple of years prior. I had a theory that it got disrupted with the move and didn't like where we tucked it away in the garage. To this day, I can't sleep well in that room alone or without a nightlight. Ha ha. Which is sad because I'm 25 years old and still afraid of this hoodlum ghost being a punk.
Hoodlum goes.
That's
Pixie
interesting.
said Paranormal Portal was printed on the front of the sweatshirt.
Oh, she saw that?
Well, no, she meant the ghost, but
Oh.
there you go.
I thought she saw mine.
Oh, that's right. You're
Can you
wearing
see
your
it?
Paranormal Portal.
I'm waiting for the stream to catch up.
Yeah, it's catch up. So it's going to be 5 minutes of you holding
There
your...
you go.
Hey!
There it is.
Would you like one, Pixie? They're available at paranormalradio.com.
ParanormalPortalRadio.com.
Paranormal Portal. Oh, gosh. How can I forget the portal?
I don't know.
There you go.
This is-
Check out our gear.
yeah, check out our gear. You too can look this good.
Well, maybe not, but it is Brent after all.
Wow. Wow, I just feel a little glowing right now, Don.
Oh, where did I put my hat? Oh, well.
Oh,
I got my ball cap that says Paranormal Portal, so you need one too.
yeah, everyone needs one.
Ah, she says I will. Nice.
All right. Excellent, Pixie. We love you.
Good choice. She can stay.
It was summer, 3 to 4 a.m. in the morning, and my little sister and I were playing hide-and-go-seek in our basement. It was real long, but we only had like 3 hiding spots out in the backyard, in the boiler room, or out the door and into the laundry room were the main spots, unless you thought hiding behind the couch was good. So I stopped counting and started to look for my sister. She wasn't in the boiler room, so I decided to check the laundry room because I'm scared to go out. I look through the peek hole and see my sister hiding. Granted, it's a peek hole, so everything is seen through a fisheye-like view. But I see a girl that resembled my sister, blonde hair and giggling. I couldn't make out her face, but I swore it was my sister. I started calling her name and repeatedly said over and over, "I've found her, so come out." This goes on for another minute before my sister comes from behind. So we both now start freaking out. I was 100% sure on what I saw, and my mom believed me because she got a baseball bat and we both slowly walked into the laundry room, and I was scared. We went into the room, turned on the light, and found nobody. However, there was a carpet mat that was flipped over.
Huh.
The next one. I want to try to get through these stories if you don't mind.
Sure,
Don.
no, I'm good.
I don't know how many more there are. I think just a few more, so let me read through these. Let's see. Okay.
Yep, that's it. There you go.
When I was 12, my mom went out of town and left my sister and me alone. Ooh. One day, my sister's friend brought over a Ouija board. Oh, 12 years old and a Ouija board. Oy. That she had bought at a garage sale. That's one thing you don't want to get secondhand. People are
Something
getting
that's
rid of
already
them for a
stained.
reason.
It's stained. Here, I'll sell it to you for cheap.
Yeah.
Oh, good God.
Don't mind the blood. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I mean, if somebody's used it, and my big point is if you don't know how to close a portal, you have no business opening one. And a Ouija board creates, is a portal. It's an oracle. And if you open something, you need to know the proper procedure for closing it. And that's not in the instructions for a Ouija board that you buy off the shelf. None of that is. You have to do your research and realize what you're doing. Now, if you got a bunch of kids playing with a Ouija board and they got freaked out and want to get rid of it, put it in the garage sale. Well, some schmuck buys it and he's bringing home Nosferatu, for God's sakes. He's bringing home a demon or something. It's like, great, I only paid $2. Well, good, enjoy your possession. See what I did there?
Here's your bonus.
Yeah, here's your bonus.
The board was $1. The other dollar was for the possession.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just one of those things that you better bind it before you bring it in your house. And there's binding things that you can do as well. So just make sure that that you take care before you bring things into your house. Even if it's an antique, my God, just cleanse it. Do some things to make sure you're not bringing some kind of energy in your house. But like when we had Josh on the show,
Yeah.
and he's a collector of oddities and stuff, and he said, I that's their story. That's cool. I don't cleanse them. And I was like, you know what? That's a really interesting point. And I do respect that, and I know he's using a lot of intuition when he's picking these things up and stuff. But I just think you need to be careful.
Yeah, definitely.
So when I was 12, okay, so they got a Ouija board that she had bought at a garage sale. My mom was very against Ouija boards due to an experience she had, but since she wasn't home, it didn't matter. Ooh. We began speaking to the spirit named Nicole, who claimed that she had been murdered. However, as time went on, she became angrier and began threatening us. Weird stuff began happening in our house, like doors opening on their own and strange noises. At this point, we decided to destroy the board, and for whatever reason, decided to burn the board. Nope. When the spirit we told the spirit this, and it was not happy. It promised we'd regret it if we destroyed the board. We went outside with a lighter, but for the life of us, we couldn't get the board to catch fire. After several failed attempts, we poured some rubbing alcohol on the board, and were able to get it to burn. Thinking we had successfully rid our home of the spirit, we went to the store and bought tons of candy. My sister opened up a candy bar and set it on the table. One of our cats jumped up on the table and began licking it. My sister picked up the cat, and went to gently toss her off the table when the cat suddenly flew out of her hands and hit the wall, and its head got stuck between the wall and a clock. It was terrifying, and while I'm a skeptic now, I still won't touch a Ouija board.
Well, how can you be a skeptic after having that kind of a... I mean, that would be like, me saying, no, the aliens are standing right in front of me, and Brent's, right behind me going, those are aliens, dude. No. I'm still a skeptic. What? That makes no sense to me.
That's why I don't understand the logic some people use. They just, again, you can't suspend logic to support your paradigm.
People can, and they
Apparently they do. Yeah, denial is a powerful force.
It is.
I have a Front Range paranormal group. I had a Front Range paranormal group come out to my old town home in Aurora, Colorado about 8 years ago. Front Range Paranormal is affiliated with TAPS, which is the Ghost Hunters TV show, TAPS. I called them out because for 2 years, weird objects in my house would move inexplicably. My daughter, who was about 4 at the time, had plastic food for her play kitchen set, and one day the plastic orange moved across the stone tile floor several feet. One time, a stack of about 6 VHS tapes that were on top of the entertainment center flew off the shelf and hit the front door, which was about 3 feet away. I had several friends live with me at different times, and they stayed in my basement. They never stayed very long, because they said they always felt like someone was watching them. My cousin and her boyfriend stayed with me for a few weeks, and they always heard strange scratching noises. When she would try to wake up her boyfriend, he wouldn't move. He said the same about her, not to mention my daughter saying she was playing with her friend in her bedroom on a pretty much nightly basis. Then my own creepy encounter that drew the last straw. I had just laid down in bed and was home alone this night, and it felt like someone sat on the floor or on the foot of my bed. I sort of froze, but I was brave enough to open my eyes and there wasn't anyone there. Once I closed my eyes again, it felt like the person then moved to lay down next to me. I was slightly freaked out, but I had several paranormal experiences in my life and knew that this would not hurt me. Eventually, I fell asleep, and the next day I was calling taps. A few days before they came out to the house, I had announced verbally that they were coming to talk to these entities. I told them to save their energy and give them a good show. They listened. Taps got to my house right at 7:30 p.m. and set up a camera on every floor, K2 meters in hand, base temp readings in every room, and then we went lights out. Things got weird fast. 8:02 p.m. lights were out, and the activity began at 8:03. This was a group of 4 women that came out. My then roommate and myself. I had a 3-level townhome, so we split up in twos on each floor and rotated every 15 minutes. I started in the basement with a hunter named Stacy. She has been doing this for 25 years. The K2 started up and went wacko. A shadow person walked around the room, and the K2 seemed to respond to our questions. On the main level, I thought I saw my cat run through the kitchen, and when I said, "Buffy, you scared me," my roommate, who was upstairs, yelled down, "Buffy is right here with me." On the upper floor, we saw orbs, swirly lights, and asked lots of questions while holding the voice recorder. These ladies packed up and left at 9:30. Stacy said my house was the most haunted she had seen in 25 years. A couple of weeks later, she mailed me a disc with the photos they took, and the disc also contained 32 EVPs, which is electronic voice phenomena. I was also given a letter that stated my residence was in fact haunted, and I called her the next day and asked if they could get someone to come clean my house. Another week later, a guy was there with his sage and walked my home. Never had a problem there again. Now, he was a medium, and he told me the reason things would start at 8 p.m. was because the little girl that was haunting had a bedtime of 8, so she would start putting up a fight about going to bed when she was alive. He then told me she had drowned in a bathtub, but not in my home. She attached to me because I was a mom. She was also the one that moved toys because she was trying to play games. He also told me about the grouchy old man in the basement. He was the one that made you haul your tail up the stairs because it felt like he was almost pushing you out of his space. And every hair stands up in your neck kind of feeling. There was an old lady, but I never picked up on her. The guy who laid on my bed was a soldier that had come back from battle and committed suicide, and it attached to me because I reminded him of his wife.
Oh, goodness.
He was one of the most afraid to move on because he was also a Christian and believed his suicide would condemn him to hell if he passed on. I didn't say so earlier, but I did have a dream about this soldier committing suicide months before all this happened. I asked the medium if he could see how he had killed himself. His response made me cry. Well, half his head is missing, so I assume he blew his brains out. Again, this was all several years ago, but I still have the disc and everything from that investigation. I currently own my home, and back in February, I was videotaping my youngest daughter, who is 6, and saw an orb come into the living room and go in front of my camera. I stopped recording and played it back, and lo and behold, I caught the orbs on tape. Twice in June this year, my neighbor's body was found. What? Oh, he caught the orbs on tape twice. Okay. In June of this year, my neighbor's body was found. She passed in October last year. Oh, dear God. That's a long time. It went unnoticed because she leaves every year to California to avoid Colorado's harsh winters. Everyone assumed she was just out of town. To make this even worse, we own a duplex and she lived in the other half, and we never noticed any smells. The coroner said she was practically mummified, and because we are dry and cold in northern Colorado in the winter, and her heat was off, she never really decomposed the way others in warmer, more humid elements do. I do believe I caught my neighbor's spirit trying to get my attention in February. I felt terrible because I sealed my home with sea salt and the Lord's Prayer the next day. I have many other experiences as well.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a ton of them, huh?
Yeah, she was just like a magnet for it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's it for this page as well.
Okay.
So, how you feeling there, brother?
I'm flagging.
You're flagging?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm flagging.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that'll about do it for tonight. I'll take us out with a song, the new mix that's on the Paranormal Portal broadcast, and hopefully you enjoy it. I don't know where I put it now. I'm not sure where it is.
It's the mix down, isn't it?
No, it's not in the mix down. I know that, but I don't remember where it is.
Well, with that being said, though, thanks for everybody listening. Thanks to Elizabeth and Galactic Pixie and Stacy and Chris caught us in the first part. Naga, both him and Lady Naga. I just wanted to say thank you for joining us again on this Wednesday. It's always nice to talk to you guys. Thank you, Pixie. And as I said, you're very welcome, Elizabeth. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you on Friday.
We love y'all. Thank you for being here. And this is the song that shall take us out.
Dream state, a nightmare from which they cannot wake.
What's that?
I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? I've never sensed anything like it. Carol Ann is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves. Her life force, it is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures.
It'll be just fine.
Something they desperately desire,
Good night, everybody.
but can't
Love
have
you, bunches. We'll see
anymore.
you Friday night. Don't miss it.
Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeist are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are of fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.